Welcome to Bible in a Year with Scott Purcell. I'm so glad you're joining me. This is a daily reading of portions of the Bible, following a plan that will include the entire Bible in a year. And now, let's open the book and begin our readings. This is the reading for day 133. If your reading is aligned with the calendar year in a non-leap year, this is for May 13th, or in a leap year for May 12th. The Old Testament reading is from Judges 16 and Judges 17. Judges chapter 16. Samson went down to Gaza. There he saw a prostitute and had sex with her. The Gazites were told, "Samson has come here," so they surrounded the place and lay in ambush for him all night at the city gate. They kept silent all night, saying, "We will wait until the morning light, and then we will kill him." But Samson lay until the middle of the night. He got up in the middle of the night, and took hold of the doors of the city gate and the two doorposts, tore them loose with the bar, put them on his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of the hill that is in front of Hebron. After this, he fell in love with a woman in the Wadi of Sorek, and her name was Delilah. And the rulers of the Philistines came up to her and said, "Entice him, and find out what makes his strength so great, and how we can overpower him, so that we may bind him up in order to subdue him. Each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver." So Delilah said to Samson, "Please tell me, what makes your strength so great? And with what can you be tied up to subdue you?" Samson said to her, "If you tie me up with 7 fresh bowstrings that are not dried up, I will become weak like everyone else." So the rulers of the Philistines brought up to her 7 fresh bowstrings that were not dried up, and she tied him up with them. The ambush was sitting in wait for her in an inner room. And she said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." And he snapped the bowstrings just as flax fiber snaps when it comes close to fire. And the secret of his strength remained unknown. Delilah said to Samson, "Look, you have mocked me and told me lies. Please tell me how you can be bound." He said to her, "If they tie me tightly with new ropes that have not been used, I will become weak and be like everyone else." So Delilah took new ropes and tied him up with them. And she said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." The ambush was sitting in an inner room, but he snapped them from his arms like thread. And Delilah said to Samson, "Until now you have mocked me and told lies to me. Tell me how you can be bound." And he said to her, "If you weave 7 locks of my head with warp threads." She fastened it with the pin and said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." And Samson woke up from his sleep and tore loose the loom pin of the web and the warp threads. And she said to him, "How can you say, 'I love you,' when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times, and you have not told me how your strength is so great." And because she nagged him day after day with her words and pestered him, his soul grew impatient to the point of death. So he confided everything to her, and he said to her, "A razor has never touched my head, for I am a Nazirite of God from birth. If I am shaved, my strength will leave me, and I will become weak like everyone else." Delilah realized that he had confided in her, so she sent and called the rulers of the Philistines, saying, "Come up one more time, for he has confided in me." And the rulers of the Philistines came up, and they brought the money with them. And she put him to sleep on her lap. Then she called the men, and shaved off 7 locks of his head. And she began to subdue him, and his strength went away from him. And she said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." And he woke up from his sleep and said, I will go out just like every other time and shake myself free. But he did not know that Yahweh had left him. And the Philistines seized him, gouged his eyes, and brought him to Gaza. They tied him up with bronze shackles, and he became a grinder in the prison. But the hair of his head began to grow back after it had been shaved off. The rulers of the Philistines had gathered to sacrifice a great sacrifice to Dagon their god, and to rejoice. And they said, Our God has given Samson our enemy into our hand. And the people saw him, and they praised their God, for they said, Our God has given into our hands those who hate us, devastate our land, and have killed many of us. After a while, when their hearts were merry, they said, Call Samson, and let him entertain us. And they called Samson from the prison, and he entertained them. And they made him stand between the pillars. Then Samson said to the servant who was holding him by his hand, Position me so that I can touch the pillars on which the house rests, so I can lean on them. And the house was full of men and women, and all of the rulers of the Philistines were there. About 3,000 men and women were on the roof watching the performance of Samson. And Samson called to Yahweh and said, My Lord Yahweh, remember me. Please give me strength this one time, O God, so that I can repay with one act of vengeance to the Philistines for my eyes. And Samson reached out and held two of the middle pillars on which the house was resting, and he leaned on them, one on his right and one on his left. And Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines. And he pushed with all his strength, and the house fell on the rulers and all of the people who were with him. And the dead whom he killed in his death were more than those he killed in his life. His brothers and his whole family came down and picked him up, and they brought him up and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the tomb of Manoah his father. He judged Israel 20 years. Judges 17. There was a man from the hill country of Ephraim. His name was Micah. And he said to his mother, The 1,100 pieces of silver that were taken from you, and about which you also pronounced a curse in my hearing, are with me. I took it. And his mother said, Blessed be my son by Yahweh. He returned the 1,100 pieces of silver to his mother, and his mother thought, I will certainly consecrate to Yahweh the pieces of silver from my hand for my son to make an idol of cast metal. Now then, I will return them to you. When he returned the pieces of silver to his mother took 200 pieces of silver, and she gave it to the smith, and he made it into an idol of cast metal, and it was in the house of Micah. The man Micah had for himself a shrine, and he made an ephod and teraphim, and he appointed one of his sons who became a priest for him. In those days there was no king in Israel, and each one did what was right in his own eyes. There was a young man from Bethlehem in Judah, from the clan of Judah. He was a Levite and was dwelling as a foreigner there. And the man went from the town of Bethlehem in Judah to live as a foreigner wherever he could find a place. And he came to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, to continue his journey. And Micah said to him, From where do you come? And he said to him, I am a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah. I am going to dwell as a foreigner wherever I can find a place. And Micah said to him, Stay with me, and be to me a father and a priest, and I will give to you 10 pieces of silver a year, a set of clothes, and your food. So the Levite went with him. The Levite agreed to stay with the man, and the young man became as one of his sons. So Micah appointed the Levite, and the young man became a priest for him, and he was in the house of Micah. And Micah said, "Now I know Yahweh will make me prosperous, because the Levite has become my priest." The New Testament reading is from John chapter 7, beginning at verse 45, through John chapter 8, verse 11. John 7:45. So the officers came to the chief priests and Pharisees, and they said to them, "Why did you not bring him?" The officers replied, "Never has a man spoken like this." Then the Pharisees replied to them, "You have not also been deceived, have you? None of the rulers or of the Pharisees have believed in him, have they? But this crowd who does not know the law is accursed." Nicodemus, the one who came to him previously, who was one of them, said to them, "Our law does not condemn a man unless it first hears from him and knows what he is doing, does it?" They answered and said to him, "You are not also from Galilee, are you? Investigate and see that a prophet does not arise from Galilee." And each one went to his own house. John chapter 8. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Now early in the morning he came again to the temple courts, and all the people were coming, and he sat down and began to teach them. Now the scribes and the Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery. And standing her in their midst, they said to him, testing him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now, in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" Now they were saying this to test him, so that they would have an occasion to bring charges against him. But Jesus, bending down, began to write with his finger on the ground, taking no notice. And when they persisted in asking him, straightening up, he said to them, "The one of you without sin, let him throw the first stone at her." And bending down again, he wrote on the ground. Now when they heard it, being convicted by their conscience, they began to depart, one by one, beginning with the older ones. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman who was in their midst. So Jesus, straightening up and seeing no one except the woman, said to her, "Where are those accusers of yours? Does no one condemn you?" And she said, "No one, Lord." So Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." The wisdom literature reading is from Psalm 60, verses 1 through 4. Psalm 60. For the music director, according to Shushan Edoth, a miktam of David, to teach. When he fought Mesopotamia and Aram Zobah, and Joab returned and struck Edom in the valley of Salt, 12,000 persons. O God, you have rejected us. You have broken us. You have been angry. Restore us. You have made the land quake. You've split it open. Heal its fissures because it totters. You have shown your people hard things. You have given us wine that staggers. You have rallied those who fear you round a banner out of bowshot. This concludes the reading for day 133. Thank you for listening. These daily readings are made possible by your generous support of the Global Outreach Ministry of Scott Purcell. To partner with us and enable this work and others like it, please visit huttobible.com/give and select Go Pastor Support from the fund list. You can also sign up for ministry updates at scott-purcell.epistle.org/subscribe. Both of those links can be found in the podcast description. Thank you for helping us share God's Word.